and share them with us through YouTube. Really, really amazing. And many of us were glued to our screens watching this. What's interesting is that it wasn't really about technology. We weren't glued to our screens because these people were using gadgets. We spent a lot of time and a lot of focus on that media and that technology that was used. But it's really about the story, their incredible story. This is going to be interesting to watch with the number. No, don't change. Sorry, false alarm. It wasn't about the technology. That's not why we were glued to our screens. It was about their story, their remarkable, desperate story that was so human and we could identify with. And I'm going to say that their story, here in the West, we rely on a class of content creators to share information with us, to filter the voices that are out there and get us those voices that are newsworthy. So we were actually we weren't, as much of the raw feed that was out there on the Arab Spring, the YouTube videos, the tweets, the Facebook, we were getting our context actually from the news media, from our class of content creators who have very little connection and understanding actually with the people whose stories that they're telling. Next slide. So I'm going to come back to that in a second. I'm going to talk about film here for a minute. I am a huge film buff, and film to me is the ultimate art form. It encompasses all of the arts that have come before it, including writing, drawing, photography, theater, you name it, it is in there. And film, for me, is one of the most persuasive forms of communication. And I can tell you that because it worked on me. When I was 12 years old, I was suckered in by expert marketing to go see this movie. I had to run out and go see it. It had the hottest music soundtrack. There was images of tough guys with machine guns. I mean, if you're a 12-year-old boy, this was expert target marketing. I ran to the theater, couldn't wait to see it, sat down my popcorn, ready for the music to bump and the guns to blaze. And the film that I saw was actually Boys in the Hood. When I was 12 years old, I saw this film, and I got tricked. I went in there to go be entertained. And I came out of this film, something very, very profound happened to me in that theater. I came out of this film not thinking about the characters, not thinking about the music, not thinking about the action sequences. I came out of this theater actually thinking about myself. 12-year-old boy, 12-year-old Simón. Thinking about myself, thinking about my friends, thinking about some of the situations we were finding ourselves in, flirting with violence that was escalating out of control quicker than we could imagine. But we didn't see how that could end. And what was amazing about this is this film got me to think about myself as a 12-year-old boy and reflect on myself. When so much noise out there is telling young men of color to think about their actions and to be aware of all the dangers out there that they are susceptible to, this film was able to cut through the noise and get right to the matter with me. So the film was actually made by a 21-year-old black man. This is not him, this is Larry Fishburne from the film, named John Singleton. And John Singleton, I was just blown away at 12 years old. How is he able to use Hollywood and a national distribution system of movie theaters to reach his target audience with this incredible and thoughtful message and trick us, his target audience, young men of color, to thinking about ourselves and to thinking about where we were going and where the actions of today will actually lead us, and how it's part of a much bigger cycle. So I had to learn this tool. I was convinced. I was so profoundly moved by what he had done to me and how I had been tricked, that I had to learn this tool. And I realized, as I wanted to use film for as a tool for social change, I realized this had actually been done before. This trick had been used on me time and time again, and I wasn't aware of it. This is KRS-One from a hip-hop group I grew up listening to called Boogie Down Productions, and the name of this album is Edutainment. And the concept of edutainment is not rocket science, combining education and entertainment. Education is kind of like a vitamin. We don't always feel like taking our medicine, or it's just not a big priority. Entertainment's more like dessert. Anytime's a good time for dessert. And as long as there's dessert, we're going to keep scooping it up. So what you do, well, what KRS-One did and what John Singleton did and so many others that use this tactic, is you take the vitamin, the education, and you slip it inside the dessert, the entertainment. And I'm so busy gobbling it up, I have no idea that I'm actually learning. I was so busy nodding my head to Boogie Down Productions as a kid, I had no idea that I was actually thinking about global issues and thinking about society and thinking about myself. I was just listening to the music. Same thing with Boys in the Hood. I saw that film, sorry, don't change. I saw that film and I had to, I knew that film, when I saw Boys in the Hood, was going to be my tool. That is the way I wanted to reach people. I wanted to do the same trick on others that had been done to me to help them think about themselves. So when I got to high school, I joined the video yearbook and took a TV production class and got access to the tools so I could start making my movies right in high school and started writing scripts. And I won some statewide awards and a national award, which helped me get into college. And when I got to college, I'm actually going to show you a clip of something, one of the pieces I did in college. It's a quick 30-second clip, and the piece is called Stay Awake, and it was done a couple months after 9/11. It focuses on the response, the U.S. response to 9/11, both abroad and here at home. So we'll watch that as a quick 30-second clip.
So you're not afraid, Colonel, of giving away any military secrets on the web, are you?
Oh, not at all. No secrets here. In fact, we're showing the whole story.
Like this, yo, it's official. The saga begins. Begin war. Be the first to set it off. Classy motherfuckers. Execution fashion. Bam! Yo, never the place done. What?
So they don't notice the cameras, you say?
I was starting to use these tools. I was becoming a content creator. I was sharing my voice. I was no longer sitting on the sidelines, only consuming this content. I was now in the game and creating content that others could consume. My voice was in the mix. And as I realized I am now a content creator, I had to get out there and share these tools. I dove into community media training and worked with hundreds of inner city kids, school teachers, nonprofit organizations. I had to teach these digital communication tools and storytelling tools. It was like this secret that I found, and I had to tell everybody who I could. So the next clip that I was going to show you, which we can go to that slide, this is some kids. This was a clip of a music video we did with some kids in Cabrini Green Housing Project in Chicago. And these kids were coming after school to learn digital media tools on their own. They were not getting dropped off by parents. They would travel on their own from school. And they were so excited to be learning these tools. These kids had so many stories that they wanted to tell. They were not content sitting on the sidelines and just consuming other stories, other people's stories, or hearing their stories told by somebody else. They wanted to tell their own stories. And this was a rap video that these kids did with some pretty profound lyrics from some very tiny little men. They're so little, and what's coming out of their mouth is very adult and very deep.
Let's go. Out of control, my mind is leading me. It's not as feeding me what it needs to be feeding me. Is it really believable, true? What hate to do to you? You have no clue until you're sad and blue. Left stranded like Susie Q. Even though I got dough, I still can't go. I wanna go and be free and have my own SPACE. Mike, yeah, that's my name. Don't wear it out. And for those of you thinking, no, I have no doubt.
I'm still using these tools today. I'm still using film as a tool for social change, and I'm still using the concept of edutainment. I work for a nonprofit organization called ArtServe Michigan. I'm the Director of Strategic Communications, and a lot of my work is, the organization supports the arts and cultural sector, Michigan's creative sector, including arts and cultural organizations, artists, educators, and creative entrepreneurs. But a lot of my work is focused on our e-magazine website called creativeimpactmichigan.com. And the last clip that I was going to show you is the Prison Creative Arts Project out of the University of Michigan. We have a video that we did on them, and we can go to that next clip.
And it opened up so many doors for me now that I'm home.
Prison life is like inhumane, unnatural, not supposed to be, however, can be the greatest experience if properly dealt with. I believe it was the greatest thing that happened to me. In that isolation, I found self, I found wisdom, I found patience.
Storytelling is film is still being used as social media, as a social change tool by me in my work. And I'm a content creator. Like many of you here in the audience, I get to distribute perspective. I get to share points of view. We'll go to the next slide. But according to these statistics, these are statistics about the arts opportunity gap and also media skills gap in high poverty schools. According to these statistics, I'm not supposed to be here. See, I was one of these low income kids, one of these nameless, faceless numbers. And I'm very lucky. I was just a broke kid from Southwest Detroit who got very, very lucky when his mom got a job and moved us into another town, and I got to go to a really great school system where I had access to media production before I got to college. I had access to all the arts, writing, drawing, theater, everything, and the technology to package these stories and distribute them. So this playing field is not as even as we think. Next slide. We thought we took care of the digital divide 10 years ago when we gave low-income communities access to laptops and internet access, and we said, okay, and we brushed our hands off and said, everybody's online, it's all set now. Well, the real digital divide that we're facing, I will argue, is the divide between the content creators and the content consumers. When we gave out those laptops and internet access and everybody got online, all we did was expand the base for consumption, for content consumption. We did not train or give the tools for content creation. And I think that this is a tragedy, and I'm not the only person that feels this way. Next slide. This gentleman is Arnie Duncan. He is our U.S. Secretary of Education, and he's made some pretty profound statements. Last week he was talking about the arts opportunity gap that's disproportionately affecting high poverty schools. And I will quote him here, he refers to it as absolutely an equity and civil rights issue. So many of us, we like arts education. Yeah, it's good, makes us feel good, it's nice for the kids. This is much more serious than that. This is about who is telling stories, who's allowed to tell stories. If the digital information technology is the new town square, it has limited access. And we think because all of us can jump online and tell our stories and we can reach our target audiences because we're trained content creators, we think it's just easy. It's not the case. It's a closed loop in these low poverty schools that don't have access to these tools. I know because I've been on both sides, and I can tell you it's not as easy as you think. So I just want to point out that this isn't about blame. This isn't about a conspiracy. This is about shared responsibility that we have